What would you say is the most rapidly evolving threat to businesses today?
The most rapidly evolving, I would go with something that's been around for centuries, and that's data. Very simple data and personal information.
Why?
Well, because of the many different ways it can be compromised today. And not only that, but then you kind of open into the realm of cybersecurity and all the different ways that can impact a business. There's not only responsibilities with respect to Ohio Revised Code, statutes, but you also have responsibilities to your own employees. And then couple that with the thought of, while someone's in your system, the thought of not being able to operate a warehouse, not being able to get their tires off the shelf because of a serial number, or you think about a sales force that can't operate because they can't enter their own computer system. So there's lost income, and then there's extra expenses in addition to following guidelines in Ohio Revised Code. And you think about, too, reputational damage. There's a lot of different ways that we can be affected when our data is compromised.
How do you go about explaining this threat to your customers?
Well, it's really not so much about the threat. I think we all kind of understand the threats that exist with all the changes in technology. But what we do want to understand is that, for example, from a liability standpoint, when Ohio Revised Code kicks in after a breach, once we discover it, we have 45 days to kind of mitigate that loss. So what I want my customers to understand is that the general liability policy, for example, has exclusionary language in it with reference to disclosure of personal information and data-related liability, okay? You see similar exclusionary language under the commercial property policy and business income and extra expense policy. So I think the biggest thing is to be cognizant and understand that those three main types of coverage that virtually all businesses are carrying in many instances isn't going to address the possibility of a cyber-related breach.
What is the biggest misconception about cyber policy contracts?
Well, I guess it's right now in the cyber insurance world, it's probably important to note that no two contracts seem to be the same. You know, insurance companies are trying their best to diligently keep up with this ever-evolving threat that seems to change every single day. But if there were one thing to hit on, as far as the contract language, I think of often with respect to crime coverage. And what I'm getting at it is voluntarily parting with property, okay? You think of, for example, like an auto dealership. Auto dealerships, you have sales individuals who are giving the keys to an individual to test drive a vehicle. Well, if that vehicle never comes back, it could be debated that that's not theft. And so what an auto dealership needs is false pretense coverage endorsed under the policy so that that voluntary parting of property is removed from the policy contract. That's what we want to get rid of. The same threat exists in cyber insurance, and you and I think we've probably all seen these emails come in, or it'll be an email that comes from maybe a supervisor or manager, but if you look closely, the email domain is slightly different. When we voluntarily transfer company funds, for example, we can't necessarily claim that perhaps under theft. We need to make sure that that voluntary parting of funds in that case is removed from the cyber insurance policy contract, okay? So having that endorsement, for example, that's one of those key things that I would really want people to be cognizant of.